Well, welcome back, folks, and thank you for sticking with us here on Team Fortress TV. It is I58, and guess what? We've got some TF2 for you now. We're coming up with our very first match of these group stages. It is going to be froyotech and full tilt, as we mentioned. Again, it's what they're doing in order to move the schedule along. There are still some things being fixed up. Is they're actually going to play this game online? Yes, I haven't misspoken. So they have a server that's going to be here, and now obviously the players will all have the same ping because they're in the same venue, but it is online. It's a little peculiar. What do you guys think of that? Is that a comfort zone mess, or do you think it's fine?
I don't think it will change a lot, to be honest. I think it will still come down to who plays better, who gets out of the gates faster. I don't think it'll make a huge difference because even though it's not LAN, it's still even across all the teams.
Yeah, it won't make a difference.
Yeah.
Hardly. It'll be minimal.
So what are we thinking will come out of this? I mean, I've been talking to people about this first match, and it's a bit of a kind of sets the scene, doesn't it, for all of LAN? I mean, a lot of people are looking at Froyo to see what to expect. Full tilt, one of the favorites. Do we have any preds here at the desk?
Full tilt.
Full tilt?
I think, because it's going to be Granary as well. Mike Salentes on LAN. No ping rockets with Granary as well. I think they're significantly better than the froyotech Soldier Duo and on a Soldier-friendly map. That'll be key.
It's actually going to be ping rockets because they're online.
Technicality.
I'm going.
Goodbye.
Well, where's Admirable? He's here now, isn't it?
Rude.
I'm going to go Froyo. I don't want
to be contrarian.
But no, just because I just want there to be sort of like a proper fight afterwards, you know?
Yeah.
And I think if Froyo win, like Banny will probably do like a smug sort of like tweet, probably just dish one out to sort of, you know, rile them up, and then that'll be it. They'll go
We'll be
off.
waiting for that tweet. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. Tell you what, we're going to kick it over to our casters for the first match for all our patient viewers. We got Sideshow and Bren. Lads, take it away.
First game of the day, finally. I mean, we've been waiting for a little while. I'm glad that Getawhale and the boys have been able to entertain you, but now we are getting into the action. So, you know, it wouldn't be an I-Series LAN without a couple of delays, Bren.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I was 300 pounds before this game even started beginning, but just husked away to a skeleton. So
you haven't eaten a thing in hours. He has an incredibly high metabolism. He really just has to pound down the cheeseburgers, otherwise he withers away to this pathetic state of human that you see before you. But talking about pathetic states of humans, there are absolutely none on this server. It's froyotech against Full Tilt is the match that we're going to be going into. I mean, the field is so open that I don't think you can really like peg any teams particularly to take it to the end. Like, you can't say these are the favorites to take the competition, fighting against each other or something. But these are certainly two teams who could, I mean, we could be seeing this in the final later on, you know, on Sunday. You could almost say that about any of the matchups, though. Again, I've got a feeling about these two teams. You can never count out froyotech. They have Banny there. He somehow manages to piece together these like piecemeal rosters and turns them into far more than the sum of their parts. And he's done it again in the recent ESEA season, and now he has to see whether he can actually perform at LAN. Interesting tidbit, Banny, we were talking to Banny before this, and he said if Ronin had attended here, he reckons they would make the final.
Is he just saying that because they lost, well, almost lost?
Well, yeah, they lost a couple of maps to them in the grand final. They made it incredibly close. You know, how much of that is him just, you know, talking it up before the event? Or how much does he actually think that? I don't think he underrates the opposition here, but he certainly doesn't feel like they are, you know, as competitive as previous I-Series teams that he's played against, I think. But the same could be said of his roster. They aren't the froyotech of old by any means.
Absolutely. I mean, that's one of the major causes of concern for the froyotech rosters, that four of their teammates pretty much no experience whatsoever. I mean, they're all young guys. The only exceptions being, as you mentioned, Banny, TLR, two guys very well versed.
Incredibly well versed.
Exactly. Yeah,
I mean, they used to just play against each other all the time. It was like one of the great battlefields of North American TF2 was watching these guys duke it out again and again at ESEA LANs. And this is the first LAN that they'll ever play on a team together. They have, of course, played the previous ESEA season, but there's no LAN for that anymore. So this is the first LAN that they'll ever play where they're on the same team, which I think is really interesting to see how it works out because, of course, apart from the i58 lands, you also had i46 where they were against each other.
Right.
And TLR managed to, I don't want to say, carry his team to victory or something, but he was certainly a huge part of why that team was such a success at that LAN. The Soldiers just blew away the competition and also blew away LG, as they were at the time, who had Tyrone and Mackie, who, I don't think could quite step up to the current caliber of Soldiers. The Analysts desk were talking about it before, and we've got a crazy level of Soldier talent here. We've got Mike, we've got Salentes, we've got TLR, and then we've also got Paddy. So Paddy's a bit of the unknown quantity to me, but we are going to be going live. This is our first map of i58. This is Full Tilt against froyotech in the group stages on CP Granary. It is, of course, a best of one, and these are predetermined maps. And there's Mike with a little bit of a failed rollout, going to take a bit too much damage on that one, Bren, but he's still in position.
Absolutely. Now we're going to see Froyo taking the fight straight to them. One rocket going right into the way of Ali, but Full Tilt going to be on the counter-attack, picking up those 2 quick and easy frags. In fact, 4 of 4 falling in the mix of that, so that's going to be Froyo with no medic whatsoever. And this is where really they're trying to basically get any picks they possibly can. Koss is dodging and juking for days. It's just TLR, Banny.
Oh, Banny's still in, though. Banny's still in, and he's around Koss. They know where he is, and they managed to pick him off, actually, there as great pocket scouting, because Banny is just one of those players who somehow manages to clutch these situations. You don't really think of him as like an incredibly DM-oriented, because he's always just famed for how excellent his play is in terms of like a cerebral point of view. But his, just raw mechanics and aim are really excellent when he has to clutch it out for his team. He certainly can. But here we go, Full Tilt in the lead at the moment. Just in terms of map position, though, we are incredibly early on. But that early capture of mid and now being able to take second almost for free here is going to set them up very nicely. It'll ease all of the land nerves. Absolutely.
Salentes getting in some absolutely critical damage there, forcing Froyo all the way out. In fact, they get a quick and easy pick up onto Paddy, and this is going to prompt the push now by Full Tilt, as they're already moving straight into last. The heavy pickup by Froyo. Free State going to be playing that class, but he is going to get brought down pretty quickly and pretty cleanly by Ass. So this is going to be Uber now being popped off. Oh my goodness, TLR just going absolutely huge there. Picks off Koss in the nick of time. And that's going to be no heals for Full Tilt for them to play off whatsoever. But at the same time, Falash, he goes for a cheeky little back gap attempt.
And now Mike, he may have set it up for Mike. Mike actually just drops down and has not timed it just well enough. 404 manages to escape there without taking much of a scratch. And it's going to be froyotech able to recap the second point, and they held on to that one fairly well. They look dominant in the hold there. The American teams really always are. They have historically been excellent at being able to hold on to lasts, so this could be a tough nut to crack, but in they come from the left-hand side, really forcing players forwards. Wow. There goes Koss. He's been caught out of position, and Free State up top was trying to get damage on, see if he could get any picks that he could. Thalash takes him out. Looks like they're going to get a return frag. Salentes actually manages to escape, but Mike is caught in the fray, so that's 2 players down, including the medic, and that was the big one, because that has given 404 a pretty significant Uber advantage.
Absolutely, that is 100% Uber on the side of Froyo now, as they're looking to take as much territory as they possibly can, moving all the way in. Ali going to be the first casualty, a little bit too far forward maybe from him, and here we go, Froyo making their move. They've already got 1 pick, and Full Tilt, they realise full well that they cannot contest that second whatsoever, and here comes Froyo now. Uber going to be popped off by them as they're leading it in. We see Banny basically trying to charge his team all the way in, getting a lot of cap time already. This is really tricky now for Full Tilt. They're going to try their hardest. They've picked up 2 kills. It might be too much for Full Tilt to try and take this. They're trying to hold on, but it's not going to be enough, and that's going to be the first round going to the way of froyotech.
And that was all lost by Full Tilt on the defense, because they looked really good when they were attacking. They managed to take it all the way to Froyo's last. They have 1 slip-up. It was a fairly major slip-up. They lost a lot of their players attacking last, but Froyo just able to capitalize on that momentum, move all the way forwards, picked up Koss by being so aggressive that they found him out of position at mid. Then they find Ale out of position as he tries to defend second. Just a free entry all the way into last. Let's see what they can do on the second mid. Mike again really early.
Absolutely. We see Ali this time trying to spam them out from that crate area. He's taking a bit of damage. Paddy also getting a jump all the way onto Salentes. Salentes might be in a bit of trouble here. He's got his teammates to back him up. In fact, Falash with a quick 1-2 brings down Banny with no issues whatsoever. Paddy does follow it up with a pick onto Salentes, but right now it's the player advantage going the way of Full Tilt. They have traded a lot now. There's only 3 up on either side, so this could go either way, but Froyo decides to back all the way off, and this is going to be a mid-fight 1 now to Full Tilt.
It certainly is, and they seem like they've got the handle on them on mids, but it's about being able to convert them. It gives you an incredibly large advantage to be able to take the mid fights, especially on a map that's so momentum-based like Granary. But if you're then not able to, secure the last point and end up getting pushed backwards, then it doesn't set you up very nicely. And this is another player that's going to be caught out of position there. Mike is going to escape just barely with 40 health. and backs out with a bit of helpful spam from Solantes there as well. The LAN alias is coming out. So now we're going to be set up with Full Tilt holding mid. Both of these teams with Uber, so we see this classic granary stalemate, but teams have developed some interesting ways of being able to break this. Previously, I mean, people just used to like hammer people through this left-hand side where Mike is currently positioned. You'd rush a scout in there, you'd rush a soldier through, just see if you could possibly break open the left side. But since Granary Pro's been introduced and there's a slightly wider choke on the right, you can create some slightly more inventive things. You can try for like a fake push, which then leads into a Roma bomb, or you can just try and dry push through that choke area and back out if it looks badly for you. You can even switch off to something like a conch. I'd love to see the teams trying that, but instead they are just going to try and force Ast into that position. They go down one, but is this the reverse pick strategy? Looks like Froyo are going to try and move off of it.
Absolutely, this could work to their detriment. Paddy has already taken a hell of a lot of damage from the team. He's gotten to the back of course, and he's actually managed to force the Uber out, being absolutely critical in that moment. Getting that Uber charge off is going to be brilliant for Froyo now as they're looking to make any moves they possibly can. TLR with a beautiful shot into Solentes. No issues whatsoever for that guy, and he's going for more onto Ali. Let's see if his DM's up to scratch. Oh my goodness, they trade in the end. Taking that 1-for-1, but now Froyo, they're 3 players down. Full Tilt still in control of this mid, so not much ground being gained for both these teams.
No, but 4-4 has an enormous Uber advantage, right. So I think as soon as they get the players there, they're going to be looking to push. And for Full Tilt, it becomes, do you try and send a player behind and get onto the back cap? Like, I believe Thalash was trying to do that in the previous push. Do you just try and span them and see if you can get out and lose mid and trade for an Uber? But it looks like they're pretty far in. That's Solentes, who might get caught out of position. Really weak, wasn't able to get a health kit, and they haven't got a force either from 4-4, who still has that Uber, despite being taken down to 70 health with a little bit of spam at the end there. He was mostly unscathed as he came through. They left the garage area open, really, froyotech, but weren't punished for it at all. Nobody was sent behind. They weren't able to sneak anybody in and get a force on them. So now, with Kos's Uber up, we just see a reverse of the positions, and now it's froyotech in control of the mid. We'll see if they have a slightly more inventive, creative way of breaking it than just slamming Free State in there repeatedly, although it can work at times.
Absolutely. Now Froyo, they're going to look to try and take it through this right-hand side. They're moving in. They've already got a lot of damage in, but Falash picks up Paddy, and that is going to basically stave off this aggression by Froyo. Straight away, they realise one player down, but was this the bait and switch? Are they trying to force them into a fight that might be unfavourable for them now, Sideshow?
It may be, but at the moment, they've been difficult. It's been really difficult for Full Tilt to punish this kind of aggression, but they look like they're getting the better end of it this time. TLR falls. Banny has already been taken down. Those are 2 real power players there for froyotech, and that's going to signal them backing out. They've managed to take that one, and now they have the full Uber charge, so we're seeing a bit of a flip-flop here. And it's all about how much position you can gain in exchange for an Uber advantage. That's essentially what 5CP boils down to, if you're able to make more of your advantages than the other team. And there goes Muma. There's a death on the board. He likes to keep them in the single digits, but that will start racking them up if he keeps dropping like that. We've seen him get caught out of position there. We've seen Ale a few times as well, so people really trying to punish the demos for being caught in a position, and Sil is already in. Sil's taking a lot of damage there, but just making a bit of space for his team, and now in comes Ale. He's trying to find as much damage as possible. They've got the heavy out. Is he going to be able to pound a bit of damage into him? They're going to play onto the point here. There's potential, but they're taking so much damage from everybody. It's only Kos and Solentes left alive, and froyotech once again with an excellent hold. They just weren't able to convert all that damage to heavy coming in at the end there. Really crucial.
That was a really, really big pickup. They soaked up so much attention, and it really didn't get focused down at all. I think there was a few clutch hours there by 404 as well, but this is going to be Froyo moving into this yard area now. They're going to be trying to take as much room as possible. They do have 100% Uber, remember, so they can move off this if they so wish, but ideally they're going to want to take it with no issues whatsoever. Solentes now, he's dropped onto them. 404, he's popped off his Uber, but he's all the way up in the air, and he cannot latch onto anyone. I think they're going to be happy with that. Solentes, he's backed off all the way behind them, pulling a few players back, and he's created a bit of breathing room now for Full Tilt to work off. Now Froyo, they realise they're in a bit of a sandwichy situation. They're going to be trying to take the fight into the air. Paddy now might get caught. Falash gets the crucial pickup onto 404. Now that's no medic for Froyo whatsoever. And now Full Tilt look to make their move all the way in. They pick up another one as TLR is going to be paying with his life against Falash's scattergun. Free State does pick up the quick little counter frag, but in the end, this is going to be a quick and easy
They're also
cap,
weak as well, Bren.
Absolutely. Paddy's going to do a last-ditch effort, but he's going to be paying with his life as well. There's so many kills going away of Full Tilt now. 2 players not respawning for 15 seconds on the side of Froyo. Full Tilt, they want to take this all the way. They're moving in. They bait the stickies out, but they've only got a few players players left. Koss now, he's popped off the Uber charge, trying to see if he can make any magic happen. Muma leaps into the air, and now it's TLR really against the world. He's fallen, and that is going to be one round going away at full tilt, making it 1-all.
And that was almost a mirror. The play that won them that round was an almost mirror of the previous round that froyotech won, where again the medic is caught out of position in that in the garage area, and they just steamrolled that one forwards. 404 getting caught out there last time. This time. Koss last time. The medics in this kind of really fast-paced momentum play of Granary have to be so careful that they sync up with the rest of their team and don't get caught out like that, because it's just an instant round loss at this kind of level.
Absolutely, we see Froyo now, they're moving.
Oh, look at this!
Oh, one rock onto 404. They need to follow it up with some damage, though, and that is going to basically stave off this aggression that Froyo were trying to do. Paddy him out. He might actually fall. In fact, he is going to crater up in the air, but this is 3 frags now going on either side. Koss falling in the midst of all this chaos. 404 still alive, supplying heals for his team, but it's 3 DM classes against the 2. Which one is really going to come out on top here? Falash is trying to take this fight. Muma picks up 1. Can he do it? Muma's going to pick up the 2nd, and it's not going to be doable for them just yet.
Ali's still in. Ale got it. Oh no, Muma. He makes sure that Ale is nowhere near his medic there. Saw Alice sneaking in. I thought there's potential for that one to happen. But I think that was really terrible play at the end there from full tilt, actually. As soon as Koss went down, they still had 3 fragging classes available. They had Ast, Dalash, and Ale. And Ale just started spamming pipes up at 404, who stood on the top. You have to hit a crazy direct in order to get that, and then allow your scout to finish it off. If instead he had reloaded some stickies and then gone in, waited to sync up with his scouts, who were both focusing the opposing scouts who've got a buff, I think overall that was very shaky. They have to be able to convert a kill onto 404, especially after Mike did so much damage to him at the beginning. That should be priority number 1.
Absolutely. This is one quick and easy pick that Froyo are going to be happy with. Finishing up Ast, that's one player that they can push into as they are moving in. They've got an Uber. Koss is going to have it fairly shortly, and this is where Froyo look to try and make their mark. They pop it in, TLR leading the charge, but also Koss has just managed to get it in nick of time. Froyo realise they've got this Uber disadvantage. Ast is going to be respawning fairly shortly. They cannot take this in any way whatsoever.
The beef from Paddy was unreal there. He was fighting against Mike on... Oh, here comes TLR, though. TLR does not beef.
No way!
TLR does not beef. He is he's a pork man, Bren.
I cannot believe he just got those 2 kills. That is completely safe. The second point, or has it? They're trying to spam them from above now. Froyo in a bit of trouble. 404, it was taking a bit of damage, but ultimately it is going to be Froyo with that 2-man advantage. But full tilt with the 20% Uber advantage. But I think that Froyo, they're going to move off it straight away. They don't need the Uber to push in off this. Celentes actually has picked up Banny fairly quickly. So that's going to be detrimental straight away. We see Paddy jumping onto Koss. A beautiful surf by that man as he just about evades his rockets really in the end. And Froyo, they're going to have to back off to the second once again.
Yeah, Banny got caught off there with a nice direct from Celentes. He was slightly too far ahead of his team, but I think it was actually the other way around. froyotech had an opportunity to push. Banny realized it because they had a player about to respawn, and he knew that they had a limited opportunity. Now we see Uber's traded. TLR's gone up top. Might curl around and be able to pick up Koss in the back end. Not quite sure, but Celentes is going to try and chase him down or trade a frag in the back lines instead. He's still fighting as TLR goes down. Celentes putting in as much damage as he can. Banny's caught another direct pipe there from Ale, and he goes down. That's a driving force for froyotech, taken out, but so does Stalash by 3 HP free state. Ooh, that one went to the wire. If they were able to pick up free state there instead of Thalash, I think that one rolls into mid.
Yeah, that could have gone so badly for Froyo there. If Thalash hit his shots there, that would have been a quick and easy kill onto free state as he was weak already, but now full tilt looking to make their mark on this midpoint at least as they're moving in already. We see Ast taking the high ground as well. TLR trying to get a mark onto Koss, not going to be able to happen whatsoever. Ast has found Paddy as well in the midst of it. That's both the soldiers going now. Muma to follow as Mike is hot on his heels. And already they're trying to get this attempt onto Koss, but his dodging skills...
Koss is so weak!
Whoa, my goodness, that was incredibly...
If Syl doesn't hit that, I think Koss is genuinely dead because he was on 40 HP. Banny had already kind of just tagged him for a tiny amount of damage just to make sure that his full re-heal wasn't coming in, and went down for the kill there. If Syl doesn't hit that direct, you know, his medic's toast. Oh, what a great play by Ast as well. But he's still getting the rockets in. Did quite a bit of damage, but only to the buffed players, not to Koss at all. So he's going to come in. They have popped off that Uber, but 404 has one in return, and this one is going to get flashed all over the place, but they have a player in behind as well. That is Thalash. He goes down, and now Full Tilt going to be able to hold onto the yard. It's a 5v5 situation, and they're looking for the repush.
Froyo, they look like they want to push this. They've already dropped one player, however, so this could be really bad. Ali hitting some massive pipes off, actually, getting in a hell of a lot of damage, but really now they're forced out into this choke point. Muma with the sticky placement. Absolute godly plays by that man as he's completely forced them out. And look at all these picks that they've just got off that. They're going to be steamrolling all the way in. Ast is going to try and buy some time for Koss to get out, which he is successful in doing. Koss is going to be able to escape, so it is going to be equal Uber Sideshow, but that's not the way that Full Tilt, I think, wanted that to go whatsoever.
No, and that was a big play by Free State. I mean, he has never been to a LAN of this size before, never competed on an international level, and he had some great performances in the maps that his team won in the i58 Grand Finals. Really carried his team into it in terms of damage and kills. And he has been, he gets killed on stream there just as I'm singing his praises, but that play was won by him. Mike going to try and see if he can take the 1v1 against TLR, is going to be able to do it, and now there's only 3 players left alive, so this could be a recapture of mid if they want to push without Ast and Salentes. They'll be going into a Muma trap, which is just above that garage. Ali looking like he might have got caught, and as he goes down to that trap, that's going to signal Full Tilt backing out of the mid, I think. And Mike's getting chased down on 16 health as well. Is he going to be able to survive? I think so, as he just gets onto the health kit.
Absolutely. This is now Froyo's time to shine as they're already moving in. The big jump forward by Paddy as he hits off the one shot onto Mike, and that's really all they needed to get the entry into this point. Now second is really pretty much free for the taking. They're spamming them out. Muma's doing a brilliant job of denying them off here. And now Full Tilt, they're forced to hold last. No Uber on either side just yet, but Mikey is down for another 5 seconds, and it looks like Froyo want to try and make a play happen. Paddy gets off one rock onto Koss. Unfortunately, didn't hit the second for them, so they are going to be still waiting for this Uber on either side.
I like that. Really nicely timed play. They don't allow Full Tilt to set up in that situation. They're going in just before the teams get the Ubers, before they've really solidified their defense, and just push in as they're starting to back off from a forward hold onto second. See if he can catch him unawares. Unfortunately, not able to hit that second rocket this time. But it looks like they're going to go for an Uber trade up top. We might see Banny and TLR leading this Uber through the upper area. And Salenta should have it on lockdown, but it's actually Thalash who's been picked over on that right-hand side. Paddy trades his life for it. And Free State was looking like he wanted to make a move as well, but we could see some kind of off-class come over here. Mike has also gone down, so Full Tilt really bleeding players on this defensive hold.
Yeah, this is room to breathe now. Froyo, they can definitely move in off this as they pop in the Uber. However, Koss still has his. He does have it at the hand, ready to pop it at a moment's notice. In fact, now is the time. In fact, Froyo, they realise they cannot take this fight any longer. But not before Salentes picks up that 1 kill onto TLR. So now, still, Froyo, Full Tilt, I should say, looking for the opportunity to push into the second. Paddy holding up on this balcony area. Salentes moving in, getting in a few spam rockets, but he's going to be met with 2 members of Froyo to try and back him off there.
A reminder that it is still 1-1. This game has been deadly close so far. There's still just under half the map remaining. And if we're to talk about Granary from the perspective of both of these teams, it's one of Full Tilt's worst maps. So they'll be, not feeling too great about this. At the same time, it used to be froyotech's standout worst map apart from Sunshine when they played it, because they used to just ban Granary every time. It was literally their worst, actually. Sunshine being their second worst. And with the removal of Clockwork and Blaze from the roster, that's no longer the case. They're now a very competent Granary team. I don't think they'll choose to ban it out in these kind of situations when it comes to the map vetoes tomorrow. So this one is really interesting, actually, to see kind of where froyotech stack up on Granary. It never used to be a map that they used to like to play, but I don't think that was to do with Banny, and he's the only surviving member of the roster. In comes Paddy. Free State as well. Free State wins the 1v1 against Ast there. He's going to go down, surely. He does actually get taken out there in the end. That's a 2-for-1 trade. Are Full Tilt going to sack anybody else in? Just looks like a few forward stickies from Ali there, but he's the only one really in a position, and Muma's laid down quite a few traps. Does det them. Ali doesn't take any damage, but the Uber has come in. They've managed to pick up Salentes. Koss was just about to hold that one, but got a bit scared by that third rocket coming in from Tyler. And Mike is up top, about to take the 1v1 fight with the pocket. Mike's doing so much damage, but isn't going to be able to pick up any of the frags there. And they have just lost both of their soldiers. Such critical classes defensively on Granary. That could really hurt them.
Absolutely. Now Froyo moving in for the kill. They've noticed the wounded animal before them, and they're going to start to take the fight straight to them. Falash on heavy hub. He's picked up 1. He's picked up 2. Can he get any more? They need to try and bring this man down, but the arrows by Koss are keeping him alive. And now it's going to be 4 members of Froyo falling in the end as Ast just cleans up the fraggers. And this is ridiculous right now. Full Tilt holding on to that. a bit of a misplay by Froyo as well, not focusing down Falash.
Yeah, that's true. Thalash was only on like less than 50 health at the end of that fight, so certainly they could have taken him down, but I think as soon as he was there, they really hadn't gotten themselves into a position. There were 2 spawning soldiers just about to come in. They have to find an early pick in that fight, or be able to establish much better position on the pipe, and Thalash denied that. It was a well thought out defense, even though it was just basically a scramble for a heavy at that point. But they're able to repel any intruders into their last, and we've seen froyotech do that a couple of times now as well, so the match remains at 1-1. A tense stuff to start us out here at i58 with 2 of our best teams at this LAN. And so far, froyotech certainly looking good. Paddy's taking a bit of damage here, is going to go in for the bomb, gets completely denied by Thalash. Is that going to be the reverse pick? Will we see someone from Full Tilt here push in? Maybe the entire team? I know that they occasionally like to trade Ubers with Silentes in situations like this, but I haven't seen them do it on Granary. Let's see, they are going for something on the left here. Silentes is going to bomb in, see what damage they can put out. Mike is also assisting him with a little bit of spam. Tyler's taking a ton of damage, but Silentes down to about 9 health there is going to get picked off.
Yeah, well, that is the pick that Froyo wanted there. That is 1 man down currently for Full Tilt. Silentes, bit of a playmaker for them, and now really Froyo going to take this opportunity to move in as much as they possibly can. Free State has managed to find himself in this right-hand side, and his team just really waiting for them to back out. But Ali's doing a very good job actually with the sticky spam denial, keeping them all the way out. And currently, once again, we're in this very common situation that we do see. It's 100% Uber on both these teams. Ali finds Paddy in the midst of all this. So once again, is this going to be Full Tilt trying to play off this?
I think it should be. It should definitely be. They'll go for something similar again. It looks like they're putting Silentes in another position to do a bomb. He's going to bomb in straight onto Free State. Does a huge amount of damage, but actually gets taken out. What a pipe by Ali as well. Mike's coming in. Oh, what a ridiculous air shot there onto TLR. He used to be the air shot master, but Mike surely took his place after such lands as I-46 and I-49. But, I mean, that was a huge one to rock him. Tyler will be certainly looking to pay him back for that one.
Mikey is going to fall in the end as Paddy does finish him up. Now Ali might be in a bit of a sticky situation. His team's not with him. In fact, Free State, that's going to be a free frag for him as he was pushing a little bit too far forward there. And now we see Full Tilt on the back foot a little bit, trying to move back. It's a 1 rock onto Banny, but Silentes, he's in a bit of trouble here. He might get pushing down, and actually it's going to be the Uber popped off by Kos as they're looking to take this any way they possibly can. Now 404, he has the Uber. He's just basically milking it for as long as possible, holding on to it for dear life, and he realizes bit of a headset played. Full Tilt, we're not getting anything out of that. So now we see Froyo moving in. They've got 100% Uber Sideshow.
This has to be the situation for Full Tilt where they just try and spam and stay alive and set up something for last, because they're 2 players down and they have an enormous Uber disadvantage. If anybody dies in this situation, they're at perilous risk of losing last. And Mike's going to take a 1v1 against Banny, and it's actually a 1v2 in the end. Somehow manages to take down Tyler in that. I'm not quite sure how the Roma trade happened, but very lucky that he did. From Mike, going to be able to pick up 1 in that 2-for-1, and his team might be able to stabilize on last here, but they do have a 40% disadvantage. It's on Froyo to push this one, but they're not going to do it until they're 6v6, and they might just let Kos get the Uber. He may have bought enough time with that Roma trade, actually.
Yeah, I was going to question it. He was a little bit too far forward. If he didn't get that frag, it would have been a bit of a silly play, but ultimately it does pay off in the end, and he has bought a lot of time for his team. Kos now has the Uber. We see Ast on spy. Is he just checking the classes? Yeah, he is. He's just checking if they're going to be running a spy or a sniper, and he finds out they are not. So Full Tilt once again in control of their last point at least, but for how long is Banny? He's looking to try and take the 1v1 against Silentes, getting in a lot of damage, but he realizes he needs to back off unless he's going to be paying with his life now. And Paddy looks like he's getting a bit antsy there, that big door, that shutter door area. Looked like he wanted to go for the bomb attempt. Oh, okay, that's 1 sniper shot that almost brought down Paddy as well, so he's been brought down to double digits of health in the end, and really quite a back and forth, very, very close game. It's still 1-1 with only 6 minutes, 40 remaining, Sideshow.
Both of the soldiers for Full Tilt here are getting baited into trying to take fights in the upper area. Really aggressive defense of this window room. Again, Silentes walks in through the top choke point, and they're just waiting for Banny to rush in after... Oh, there's the pick, though. Paddy goes down, and this changes things up because now they can get Thalash into a slightly better position. He might be able to get an angle onto Free State, maybe even Muma. They could even try and walk him in up top. He'll see what he can get done. He might get the angle on Muma if Muma comes in from Z. He's just spotted him there. He's going to be trading a few stickies, but it will actually find TLR to open things up again. TLR has died quite a lot this map already, kind of playing quite a loose style, it seems. Not afraid to go for these plays on the flank. but just poked his head around the wrong corner in that situation. Banny just runs through a choke point and mashes a soldier. Mashes two of them, in fact, but catches a direct there at the end and loses his life for it. Not quite able to do that, and Paddy gets picked up, who was on Spy. So now 6v4, and it's time for Full Tilt to start moving this one forwards. It's still 1-1, and now we're getting ticking down into the final moments of the match. We're down into the last 5 minutes.
This is where it starts to get tense now. Full Tilt, they realise, you know, they got to get a move on here. The same for Froyo, in fact. They realise, I mean, I think going to a golden cap is the last thing these teams really want. They want to try and close it down now. If they can get any rounds on the board at this point, they're going to be happy with it, because they can turtle up, if you like. And now Full Tilt, once again, they've sort of stagnated at this yard area. They do have 100% Uber, but so do Froyo. 4-4, holding on to it for now. Really both sides just waiting for this one miracle pick, perhaps, to try and make a play off it, but neither side really looking to budge so far.
It's really interesting to see the difference between these two teams when they are holding in these situations and trying to get a pick. It's always Free State and Banny that are the ones peeking the choke points, looking to rush through a choke and try and catch someone unawares, hit them with a few good scattergun shots. For Full Tilt, it's never Thalash and Ast. Thalash and Ast posted back, waiting for a bomb or something like that. It's always Silentes and Mike that are poking their heads in. I think it's slightly more risky, actually, for Full Tilt. You know, you don't have that mobility, and the soldier, even though you can be buffed up to 300, is really quite squishy if you meet a scout in that situation. But it's going to be a bomb in from Paddy to start us off. Got a lot of damage there onto Ale, but he was able to dodge out of the way. Is this going to instigate a push from Full Tilt? It looks like they are. They're going to go from the left. From their perspective, are they just going to go for a rush? Oh my god, they get obliterated. That was red to perfection there, red like a book from froyotech. They knew exactly where they were going to push from. Ale's going to get caught as well. He's so weak, only on 30 health, just spamming out pipes, desperately trying to keep himself alive, but it's not enough. Koss is going to be able to get out there with 100% Uber, but he's about the only person who was able to escape. He's going to have to meet up with his spawners, and froyotech are turning it right up to 11 now.
They're going to be moving in straight away. We see them Full Tilt trying to take the fight. The Uber v Uber battle is commencing. Ast has off-classed onto the heavy roll. He's going to be trying to put that damage in. Mike has somehow managed to find Paddy in the midst of all this confusion. But now Froyo, they do not want to give up this last push just yet. TLR goes onto the back lines. Falash finds that one kill. Ast with the follow-up. Now Froyo really need to be looking into really just exiting completely from this last push. It's failed. They've lost 3 of their players. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do now. They're backing all the way out. Full Tilt going to be once again holding on by a thread.
Huge plays
heavy pickups.
Huge plays by Mike as well. Mike just bossed Paddy in a 1v1, just utterly destroyed him at the back of Granary. Then comes in, applies really good pressure onto the core of Moomer and 4-4, forces them to back out of that situation. So excellent plays there from Mike. The issue is that when they're in a defensive situation like this, they seem to put the onus on Mike and Silentes to open things up, and it's not looking good for them. froyotech read that last play really well and made them, like, completely punish them for that attempt to open things up. Just read the fact that they would be going for some kind of force play as they had done before with Silentes. Turns out they took 3 of them, all 3 got picked. So if Froyo keep playing like this and adjusting really well to what their opponents are doing, this is the kind of thing that makes them so scary.
Well, they're trying to move in now. Banny eating quite a bit of damage there. Paddy also goes for a nice little attempt onto their last point. Not going to be paying off, unfortunately, as Ast does manage to pistol him down in the end. Now we see them moving in for the kill. We see Mike, he's actually got behind them. Can he pick up one pick is pretty much all they need to try and make a play happen, but it's actually TLR who gets the better of him. Brings him down with no issues whatsoever, and his team was there to back him up as well. And this could be the push now by Froyo, as they may look to move in. They're getting a bit antsy around these shutter areas, clearing the stickies out, but now I think it's far too late. Mike's going to be up in 2 seconds, so at that point you're basically fighting Uber into Uber.
Yeah, and with less than 2 minutes on the clock here for Full Tilt, they are really just with their backs against the wall. They have to be able to hold on here as the Froyo push looks like it wants to come in, actually, from the left-hand side from their perspective. Maybe just holding that angle because they get less of a sight line with Thalash on Sniper, but they have just transitioned back over to the other side to rush down Mike. Mike gets picked, and that's surely going to open it up. With only a minute and a half, they have to commit here. This is an opportunity for them. Paddy's the first one through the choke point, going to start to open things up, but Beefs is pushing.
Oh my goodness, Ali. Unreal stickies coming in. He's actually done so much damage to them. Froyo now being forced to pop off the Uber when they've already lost 2 of their players. And there we go, mistakes were made as they have to back out of this already. Maybe even trying to basically back off all the way to this yard area as Full Tilt look to take as much territory as they possibly can. They need to try and get a foothold if they can to try and basically salvage this, but they're
far
really
too slow.
off. Yeah.
if they wanted to capitalize on that, it had to be as soon as the Uber was backing off. They had a much better Uber charge. They could have chased with it. They could have tried to get picks up top. They had Silentes, who was able to peek in that upper area, but they chose not to chase with that. I can only assume because the time is ticking down. There was just over a minute on the clock, but that gives froyotech another opportunity to push, and in they come. Tyler and Paddy taking room up top. Mike is going to try and defend there, and it's Thalash who picks up the first kill. His sentry gun gets traded, and now both teams have taken position on opposite sides of the point. This is looking excellent for Full Tilt to hold on to this. We could well be going to a golden cap here, Bren, because a lot of the players from froyotech are falling, and there is not enough time for Full Tilt to be able to open up the round. 24 seconds, really not enough time for them to take it all the way to last. There's maybe chance for one last-ditch effort here from froyotech, but it looks very much like this first game is going to end at 1-1, which I think was the score actually when froyotech played against TLR in the group stages at i58, Yeah. Piece of trivia there.
But this is it, 5 seconds remaining. Full Tilt look to be in complete control of their last point. Uber was popped off by Kos, and that is going to be the stalemate happening. We're going to be going to a golden cap, as you mentioned, Sideshow.
Well, you absolutely don't get closer than that. That one was incredibly tense as it got towards the end stages there. For Full Tilt, they spent a lot of it on last, really, though. They spent the last 3 minutes of the game holding their own last, but they also spent, I think, the majority of the map kind of on their side. And a few of their mistakes were getting really heavily punished by froyotech, whereas there was only one mistake from froyotech, that misplacement of 4-4 as he got caught in a push, and they were able to roll that one all the way forwards. There was really only one major mistake from froyotech that led to a round for Full Tilt, which really just shows you how crucial these single mistakes are that are slightly larger than the others. So they make one large mistake, it costs them a round. They make Full Tilt make quite a lot more smaller mistakes, but manage to kind of stabilize on last because they have that defender's advantage. They're able to get on top of it. So I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see how these two teams stack up. And for now, on Granary, it has been 1-1, so that is incredibly close.
I mean, Froyo, I was sort of expecting this, but really, I think them holding their own against Full Tilt to this level. You said that Granary is Full Tilt's worst map.
I wouldn't say it was their worst map. It's one that they dislike. Right. Full Tilt, I think, have a strange attitude when it comes to the game. They don't really apply like an analytical style to how they look at maps or things like that. They'll very much go off kind of the whim of how they feel on a particular map, whether they feel like they're prepared on it as to whether they want to favor it in a pick-ban process or whether they've had recent scrim results. It's very kind of, it's very whimsical, their choice of which map they prefer or which they want to play. Granary, though, has been one that they don't enjoy playing for quite some time. I think they struggle a little bit with being able to push fully through against teams like Crowns, who are very good at being able to lock you off at choke points. But it's difficult when you're playing against froyotech because they look like they're on excellent form. Banny and Free State were on fire. The particular 1v1s that they were taking were excellent. It helped that they were in kind of a Soldier v Scout matchup, I think, in a lot of these situations. Mike and Silentes poking their heads in. But there were certainly quite a lot of situations where the two opposing styles ended up favoring froyotech, I think. If they're able to carry on playing like this, they look like the slightly better team overall. And that might be a bit worrying for Full Tilt because this isn't the super strong dominant froyotech. This is kind of, this is the most recent version of froyotech. This is new froyotech. This is, untested froyotech.
Exactly. Yeah.
And to start off with the draw, the land nerves will be coming in. They'll have settled down a little bit with that. They haven't lost outright. I think they'll be fairly happy with that, but they certainly need to improve, I think, to be able to take the whole tournament. They have to be able to not give away these small mistakes that end up rolling into a round.
Froyo, I think the analyst desk said it the most. What was it? The undecided factor? What were they repeating over and over again? War was saying something.
The unknown quantity.
The unknown quantity. Yeah, Froyo are very much that, with 4 of their players being untested. I think what we've seen today is probably going to put a lot of people at ease. I'm very curious to see what our analysts are going to say about this because a few of them really were predicting like a European finals. So
yeah, this might throw a spanner in the works, I guess, but certainly TLR was playing an interesting style as well. I think the way that he was kind of playing on the flank in quite a few of these situations seemed like they were putting a few more of the heals into Banny and Free State, and they're allowing him to free up a bit. I don't think it's really a style that he's played before, and he was running the shotgun as well, that none of the others were. So Certainly interesting.
All right.
The real unknown quantity, though, is Jasmine T. And they were playing against Xenix at the same time as this.
Yeah.
So,
I am curious about that game. That is because that is the bigger unknown quantity, as we keep saying. Like, it's difficult to say because I'm predicting Jasmine T to be reasonably up there.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are sort of feeling like, it's going to be another 4th place finish for the Aussies. Who knows which way it goes, but
it's going to be tough either way. We'll see what our analysts have to say. Apparently not. We apparently won't see what our analysts have to say. We'll see. They have nothing to say.
No. Okay.
It's me, Getawhale. I've put on 30 pounds since you last saw me. And
Lost more hair.
lost even more hair. But guys, I was watching you guys from the hotel on my phone. The stream was excellent, except for the fact there was no TF2 being played. And when I finally arrived to see the TF2, I couldn't hear anything because of the goddamn CS final in the background. So CX, please tell me the story of the game. I saw it was 1-1. They held on right at the end, but
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird one. Really sort of kind of scrappy, but neither team really wanted to commit too hard. They were very cagey as well. And an early exchange of rounds, and then we just saw Full Tilt pinned back, and they broke all the way out to CP2. To be back to froyotech CP2, but they never really got any fire. They didn't hold it for very long. They kind of pinned back the whole game. Bit of a weird one to start with, but we said it would be close, and you can't get much closer.
pretty strange to see a tie in European TF2. It's been a long time, WARHURYEAH. No draws allowed.
Yeah, we don't like draws. We're very known for having such exciting pushing base teams such as Crowns. We really sort of, dare I say, push the scene forward with their excitable TF2. But it was really, really close. It seemed a bit... I kind of felt that froyotech were a little bit more cagey. They seemed to sort of do the exact same thing over and over again, which was Paddy sort of suiciding him first, dying. And then that's it. They just recycle that thing again. I think he had the most deaths out of everybody on the team. I think it was like 28 deaths. And he had a very, very few amount of frags. Interestingly, both medics hardly died. So as you were saying, as like nobody was really overcommitting. It seems like they're all... It's the same thing where you do want to win, but you're too scared to lose. Yeah. So because of that, there were quite a few times when the team had like quite a decent advantage, quite a decent player advantage, but they didn't really sort of keep on going or using the momentum that they just gained, because obviously there's kind of like sketches to go in. They don't really feel comfortable. This is why I don't want to really predict what happens on the first day, because all these teams are going to get a feeling of each other to see how they play, see if any of them play like bitch boys, and obviously capitalising on that if they do. But it was a very, very safe game from both. Credit to Full Tilt as well. I mean, I think the last round froyotech had like the majority of their last cap on pressure for the most part, but it was good class switches at the correct timings. Thales did a pretty good job on getting a couple of picks as well to sort of thwart any pushes as well. So overall, they did a really, really good sturdy last push, which is what I think quite a few people were afraid with Full Tilt, because towards the end of last season of ETF 12, they kind of like choked.
Do you think we can learn a lot from these games? Like, are they just playing super passive because it's the first game of the first day?
I think they really, really do sort of get a good feel, and like the group stages are like always the time when you can feel out a team, see what their play style is, and then the next day you'll then be able to find a way to counter that, and then you'll be able to sort of expose other teams' weaknesses. Like pretty much every single team that I played with at LAN, they realised that I can't do anything else apart from play with 50% heals. So what they just do, they just kill me, and then because my team depend on me too much, they lose.
It's a tough burden to carry. Are we going to get some stats up then, guys? Love those logs. I did read Gentleman John's guide explaining to me what all the graphics mean, so you know. Oh dear. We have a slightly truncated log here, but 11 players played this game, according to what I see on the screen right now.
Of course they didn't play, which, so considering for Full Tilt without a medic, that is a good feat. But yeah, as I was saying, you can see the death count. I think 404 was either on 2 or 3. Because he's on 2, because he's been hidden. I mean, I do have the logs on my Chromebook, and as you can tell, I'm a more akin to production than these guys because I haven't zoomed it in, so I can't see it. David. Anyway, so yeah, again, as CommanderX was saying, both teams sort of like being very, very reserved, not wanting to sort of push themselves over. I feel like as the tournament progresses, we'll see more risks being taken, as there's a lot more on the line than just a seeding.
But look at those air shots, man. I didn't see the game, but I can see these logs. 12, 11, 11, and 9. I can even read numbers. What do you think of those stats, CX?
Yeah, Granary, we talked about it a bit before and how much it favours soldiers. And all the soldiers played pretty well with the exception of Paddy, but obviously Paddy in quite a difficult role, being the sort of sacrificial lamb at all
If it showed
points
you like
in time.
air shots taken, do you think Paddy would have been up top there? Was he getting slammed in game?
To be honest, I think he got slammed by Thalash so hard, like through every single jump that he attempted. I'm pretty sure that 90% of Thalash frags is on Paddy.
The scouts did a really good job on both teams, actually, of just shutting down the soldiers.
They shot
and
him
keeping their medics
once,
safe.
and then he just became pencil, and he couldn't go anywhere. He was just literally hanging in midair for what seemed like the majority of the game.
Has Bani finally recognised that Thalash is a real person?
He hasn't won any season of Invite, so at the moment, no. I mean, we don't have Invite, so Thalash is at a massive downfall already.
Well, it's quite interesting as well how froyotech seemed kind of uncreative. Like you said, War, they just sort of keep throwing Paddy at the problem, hoping it will solve it, but Paddy wasn't able to solve a lot, really.
It's the whole, throw shit, sticks kind of thing. It's you just see, what actually happens. But I kind of do feel like it's a bit unfair because there were, as you were saying, there was actually a lot of time when it was just Paddy alone. And on the other hand, Full Tilt would sort of, Mike would go in sometimes, but it'd sometimes be accompanied by Sil. So they weren't really sort of too afraid of sort of sending them a little bit too far forward. They get like a feel of how the mid's going. If they get an opportunity to sort of carry on that, they will. If not, they'll just fall back.
Keep getting triggered really hard every time you say Paddy. I feel like it's a racial slur, Throw Paddies at the problem. Was that not just the strategy of the British Empire for a few hundred years?
And that works out fine.
Look, right, at the end of the day, right, we've everybody here, we put the effort to arrive on time.
I was here when the first game started. Get wrecked.
And for dress rehearsal. But yeah, another thing as well to point out, Mumu actually, he played very, very well, very defensive. Kill deaths doesn't really mean that much, but to have 16 kills, three deaths, along with the medics, sort of, I feel really does put emphasis on how much they sort of value him. And because I kind of feel there are many, many times when he did actually save them, because when you have a demo man alive, it's sort of more risky for you to continue on pushing. Whereas if you have like maybe when you have like a soldier or a scout, you're sort of a little bit more inviting to go forward, because a soldier can only do so much. He's only got like rockets. As soon as those 4 rockets are done, it's over. Whereas when you've got a demo man, it's an overpowered class, as Reddit like to point out. So please, Volvo.
I mean, we talked about it as well, how if Muma, the players on froyotech, the unknown quantities, can play how they did online at LAN, and this is the exact style Muma plays on LAN. Low deaths, just constantly in the back of Full Tilt's mineup. There might be sticky traps, there might be that big damage output to worry out for.
Yeah. Actually, could you give us the players killed stats? That would be pretty good. So how many times Thalash pooped on Paddy? The player, not the...
race.
Yeah. Of Irishman.
Okay.
11. That's
decent.
I can count that high, so I don't know if there's any. So 11 out of his 23 frags.
You see Asta there as well.
Paddy, yeah, and Asta as well. Again on Paddy. Needless to say, Paddy got paddled.
Really getting farmed there by these Full Tilt scouts.
Yeah, I mean, they were really, really good. I mean, I did sort of point out that they are kind of key, because towards the end of last season, they did sort of not really perform to their best, I felt. Whereas now, on LAN is notably, or actually they're not on LAN, are they? Online.
I like the fact that Paddy appears as a victim
online.
to 3 different players here. Really getting slammed quite hard. Interesting to see there as well that Muma is the one in those 2 matchups against Thalash and Mike. Was he doing work in that game? Were you impressed by his demo man play, WARHURYEAH?
It was very, very reserved. So I don't know. Granary is very, very difficult, because as a demo man, there's not many situations where you're given a load of space. Like, there's only a few areas of the map on Granary where you actually sort of like have free reign. Middles is very, very difficult for a demo man, because you don't really have much vision. Seconds as well, you've literally got the initial stickies, and because there's so many ways of flanking opportunities, it's kind of difficult. So I wouldn't really say that this is the best map to get a view of his sort of like
What
individual
did you think
skill.
of his rollouts? I understand there's a bit of a meme that he cannot roll out effectively. Maybe Granary not the most rollout-centric map, or maybe it is.
To be honest, he just gets to join the exclusive club. I mean, it's me said.
Is he really a UK demo man? In
Maybe
disguise?
we're gonna have to do a checkup on his family tree, see if there's any sort of maybe ties to the British Empire somewhere.
Let's see some more stats. I want to see some fancy Gentleman John graphics. You know,
Brilliant. So we can all not understand.
I understand them now. I'm here to flex my analysis brain right now.
Please show off right now in my
Okay, I didn't see the game, but just from this one graphic, I can tell you this story that the blue team were having great success pushing into the red last. They have a +7 frag differential there, but yet the game remained only a draw, like 1-1. So what does this mean? What does it tell you, CX, about the game?
It tells you what sort of Sideshow alluded to before, and that full tilt were just kind of pinned in. It's interesting that they have more frags on mid as well. That seems a bit of an odd one, but yeah, they were a couple of times full tilt rolled them all the way back, but they were pinned in for the majority of that, and I don't think that's necessarily something that should worry full tilt because of how close the game was. Like, nobody's given a lot away, so it's hard for them to really roll an advantage. Muma's not dying, 404's not dying, they can't really get that traction. Whereas, if anything, I think froyotech should be more concerned at the lack of creativity and the opportunities to push last they had, that they pretty much all failed.
You can see the majority of the action taking place here on middle, but also on the blue last. It seems like there was oh, here we go. Next.
That was me, sorry.
This is what I've learned about this graphic, that apparently these percentages represent all frags, not just for the team whose zone has been won. So what we're seeing here is that most of the action took place on middle and also on CP2 there for the blue side. Is that accurate?
That's accurate,
Stats match
yeah.
up CX.
Yeah, follows up on what we were saying earlier about full tilt being pinned in, all the actions taking part in their side of the map. But as I said before, I think if anything, it's more. This raises more questions about froyotech's ability to push than full tilt's ability.
And is that just because they were taking such a low risk option of just sending in Paddy? Or?
Yeah, it's really obvious. Like, we saw Talash and Ash just farming him like, oh, it's an equal situation. I guess they might throw in Maroma. Here he comes. Down he goes. Let's rinse and repeat.
Did full tilt often, take the opportunity to make that one-man advantage push, or did they just sit back and wait?
Credit to them, they actually did try pretty much every time, but they never really sort of proper pushed onto them because they know it's like a very disadvantaged area to actually go. But they tried, so they would always do it, and it was actually pretty good. I was quite impressed on how they pushed to mid. Specifically, like normally those are like the real difficult parts where you're going to lose players. There was one time it was a complete disaster, but Koss is able to just get out because he still doesn't fully commit to the mid. But the other times they actually do a really good job of sort of actually going through. There was even one time when they pushed in, they managed to get 3 frags and nobody on full tilt died. And I mean, I think Koss served a rocket, it was ending on 24 HP. So to be able to do that on Granary mid, like there's very, very little vision. So to be able to do that is actually really, really good. So they did do a good job of keeping sight of everything and keeping Koss alive, which is important in this video game.
What do we make of this last slide in our statistical presentation?
That was actually something I noted in my notes, sitting there typing away. Went back to it, realised that I didn't have autocorrect on, so I couldn't read any of it. But what I did notice is that the initial Ubers from full tilt were always actually pretty strong, and normally I would find that they would struggle, especially against crowns. But behind that point, they sort of like struggled and did sort of bleed maybe a few players. I think it was mainly like Sil that sort of normally got caught out in too deep, but it was still, I mean, I'm sort of comparing this to the full tilt on last season. It's like a markedly improvement, and I think froyotech as well have definitely sort of, I think they just sort of need a really, there's no golden cap, which is a shame, because at the end of the day, we're not going to see who wins between Banny versus Thalash. So if they're both in the final, we don't condone violence.
Who do you think would win in a fist fight between Banny and Thalash? That's what the fans really want to know.
I have to say that Banny's got, I think he's got the better physique.
He works out.
Yeah, he looks like
he eats a lot of chicken.
Yeah.
Could just drop Talash on his head.
Whee! No, it only happens to girls.
I thought we weren't condoning violence.
No, I'm just saying that. You know, he picks up a female, he drops her.
Analysis.
Accident. Oh no, Cadus.
So what does this game really mean, guys? And that was a draw. I want to see some standings, you know. What's the big picture here?
From the first
Have you got
game,
it, production?
nothing changes.
Putting him on the spot. And there we go. So yeah, Crowns have delayed currently to get in Stark as he is running a tad late.
I heard they were going to use Permzilla. Was that a joke?
No, that was legit.
So Jasmine T beat Xenex, which is very good, although it looks like Xenex didn't lose that game apparently. Can we get that fixed? But that is actually something that's really good because I believe Flushy
He was giving it all the gab.
He did give it all the chit chat, smack talk, and it looks like it has fallen back in his face. Is that the word?
Do we know a scoreline of that Jasmine Xenex game? No scoreline available. Someone get on logs.
I can find it, mate. I can find it. The logs exist.
Production is telling us that the next game is going to
job.
be Jasmine T versus froyotech. Do we want to get into that just yet? We got to go to a break, production. We can chat. Thank you. Authorized.
Permission.
Someone pull the string and Wars back and let him go.
Permission to mingle.
It was 3-2 to Jasmine T. I believe. Oh, damn! Yui went mental. 37-11.
Average.
Just an average game.
Just another day
for an Australian scout. He's that is filthy. I mean, I did sort of say in Fully Charged that Xenex are sort of like the team that have the talent, but they will probably tilt. And I mean, I can't watch the game, can I? We won't know what happened.
Jasmine won. That's the important
That's
thing.
what happens.
Australians top of the leaderboard in this very early stage.
So that's sort of something that nobody would have ever guessed, is that Jasmine T have actually got in swinging. I mean, they had a rough start to their time in the United Kingdoms, but they're able to do it.
I mean, talking to Flushy yesterday, he was pouring some salt on our question, you know, Jasmine T's ability here.
Yeah, he seemed pretty confident they were going to beat them.
Yeah, he did.
reckoned
Even
they were
on
gonna slam.
Fully Charged, he was very, very confident.
Oh, we talked about it before, though. The Australians are going to be a different bag at LAN, and that once they got all their equipment all set up, they've been boot camping, they've been practicing.
It's an unknown quantity.
I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to derail the hype train. Everyone knows these day one games don't mean anything, right? But it is good to see Jasmine T come out with a win, and also to see that froyotech aren't here to just like stomp on everyone. That Full Tilt were able to hold their own there in that 1-1.
To be honest, though, Froyo last year they had like a pretty rocky start anyway on the group stages. I mean, he tied to us, but they got knocked down to the lower bracket by Nerd Rage, and then on the final they literally just mopped the floor with them. So there's still lots of time for them to sort of actually find the momentum, which I'm sure they will.
You saw it in ESEA as well, like with the grand final, Froyo just kept in it, fought back, never gave up, and were eventually able to turn it in their favour.
Yeah, I'm nodding an improvement, assuming that I watched the game.
Yes.
Okay, I think we're going to go to a ad break right now, but stay tuned here on Team Fortress TV. We'll be back afterwards with Jasmine T versus froyotech.